Morning, morning. Going live a little bit early here. Man, what a day. Just gonna get set up, guys. Letting people get in here. Mute that. Sounds good. I'm a few minutes early, guys. Those joining on TikTok, I'm just a few minutes early for the community huddle. And we'll get going here. Let's just kind of analyze what happened yesterday, where we're at, and we'll build our game plan for today. So you can see here I got for those just joining, I typically start my day checking the markets. So we have SPX, we check the SPY, we check the VIX, and we check the Dixie. Just kind of see where it's at. Man, look at the Dixie dropping. Something's going on. I think we had a little bit of news today, so maybe we'll take a look. Yeah, something is causing the markets to push here. So we have we had definitely had some news today. So what do we have at 8:30? Oh, jobless claims. That's right. Came out as 239. That's what's causing this push here. The thing, guys, and we had the PPI as well come out. We had the bullish news yesterday, and then on top of that, I think people were hanging out to see. The jobless claims just shows, if that's going up, then that's going to be another positive towards the old inflation, right? So that's what just caused that little push up there. So if you guys are wondering where we get those, I'll move this over here. So if you just go to BotJock, you can even do this on a free account, guys. You just go to BotJock, go down, economic events, and you can see here we have jobless claims and you have your PPI, right? Those are the two big news events that dropped right now at 8:30. So we have 239K on the jobless report, and then negative 0.5 here on the PPI. So yeah, so definitely we have more jobless claims, than what we have. It's growing, and it was actually more than what was expected. So that means people are not working, which is going to be another positive things towards inflation. So that's what causes this and this. So let's jump into it real quick, guys. I'm gonna start with the Dixie again today. The concerning thing with the Dixie, I want to just kind of show you guys, right, which would is going to really impact the markets. You guys have heard me talk for some time about this trend line, right? So not a super pretty trend line here, but this is kind of what I found to capture most points. We could argue if we slid this one over a little bit to capture this first point, that would cause this. I always like to try to just double check and true up my lines, right? Because there might be a different angle that people see it at, right? So it could be something like this, but for me, I like to capture at least where the explosion north happened. So we have peak, 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 and then pump, right? And then it's pretty close to this peak here. Now, if you do that, the interesting thing is we are actually below that line. So, which is super bearish, right? So, a lot of people keep talking about the dollar collapsing and all that. Yeah, look at this. Look at this fake push north. I think my BTC short was doing pretty well. Yep, so far. Almost TP1, guys. So this is what we want to watch is this trend line, guys, because the Dixie controls what goes on in the market. And so if we continue to hold below this line, I mean, think about it. We've gone below it before, right? And we've reclaimed it. So what I would like to see for us to be really, really bearish, right, is I'm going to put a line right here. And let's make this one green like that. And then I'm just going to true up my lines here a little bit. I'm going to take this one out, the 102. And then let's just pull this one down just a bit, right about there. So we're capturing this support right here, some touches, and we had a rejection right here that dropped it. So, always trip your lines, guys, because nobody has a crystal ball, right? We can anticipate the best trend lines that we can, but as the market shifts with it, right, you have to shift your trend lines with it. So the reason why I put this green line here, we had a massive support found right here, which was, kind of a resistance area here, probably significant over here. Yeah, exactly. So if this can hold, then it can make another attempt to reclaim this line, kind of like it did over here, right? So we fell, we broke below it. The previous spot held and it reclaimed that line and then just went bananas, right? So this is where they fake you into those things. Now, if we break below here, right, and we find resistance on this like this, then that fall is going to come. Like it's dropping down to probably 97 or so, somewhere in this range. So keep an eye. This is such a critical from a technical analysis standpoint area for the Dixie. So that is what I have been watching. So today, my plan on the Dixie today is to watch this green line here. So if we can stay above this green line and come in and create a higher high than this peak right here, then we may have some form of reversal. You can see here it attempted to form an inverse head and shoulder. That collapsed right with the news. It couldn't hold it. So now we'll look to see if we can create some form of double bottom of type to pull up, right? Now we may see a a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right, like this, and then hit this line like it did over here, and then that would cause a I think it's pretty far over because I'm on the 2 minute, but that would cause a pretty good pump north. So that's kind of where I'm watching, guys, as far as the Dixie goes. So how does that impact the market? Well, you can see here, these are some of the lines I've been watching on the SPX. So I can extend this one out a little bit so we can watch this today as well. So this line right here I've been watching pretty well because it's been this one and this one are pretty strong, right? So you have some good hits here. You got your second peak breakdown right here, right, where it just could not break. And it held strong, right? So this is the line that I've been taking a lot of my puts on. So I took a put somewhere in here, and then I already had this line established. So I did take a put here, captured this scalp. I did take a put on the double top here. You can see this was the double top breakdown. And then we came through and I kind of held, right? And then so I was actually waiting for a put, so I didn't catch this call pump, but I did catch the put breakdown. So what you do here is obviously you broke straight through, right? So you wouldn't take a put until you come back down and break below this line here. Because this could act as support, right? It could come down and then explode up, right? Which would be terrible for you. So I'm going to shut my door here for a second. My dogs are out barking at other doggies. So that's kind of where you would enter that rejection put, right? And then you came through, you close it somewhere in here. Same thing. Once you break this, you got this breakdown right here of this other trend line again. You could take another put scalp. So that's kind of how we do it in the room. This is options related, right? Because we're obviously talking about stocks. And then again, so you're still trading this line, right? So you got a nice little, double top, didn't quite break down, but it did not create a higher high there, creating kind of like a triple touch. And then that was another great trade that we did yesterday. So I think this was yesterday's trade on that put. So, and then since then it's just been trading sideways, right? I love watching the SPX. The one that I will look at is the XPX 500 USD from this one right here. The reason why is because it does after hours, so you can actually see it going even when the markets are closed. So that's kind of where we're at, guys. So we're just trading between this range and this range. You could anticipate a bounce off of here if you wanted to take a call. Just be patient, or you could take a put anywhere in this range here. But in the middle range, market open, I suggest just kind of sit tight a little bit. So, so let's jump into market cap. So you can see here from what we talked about yesterday, the arrow I had here on the daily. So one of the things we talked about is these EMAs rolling up. As long as we hold support above these EMAs, you're going to get these explosive pushes north, right? So the trend line, the upper and lower trend line that I'm following on the market cap, if you take the lower peak here around Wednesday the 3rd, August 3rd, 2022, you can see there's a nice, two touches here. Then you have it comes up like this, and we actually just hit here and rejected, and then it came back up, hit it and rejected, came back up, hit it, and you can see it kind of rejected if you zoom in like this. So it's a very viable trend line, right? So our price action is about right here, right? So we just hit it and then rejected back down again. So the price action is very cooperative with this trend line, right? So my suggestion is, as these EMAs continue to push up and they squeeze here, just be really careful, as far as being overly bearish until we break these trend lines on the daily here. So if you wanted to go towards a smaller time frame just to get a little better glimpse of it, you can also do the same strategy on the 1 hour. And again, you want to kind of wait till we break these trend lines. Until we can break these trend lines here on the 1 hour, it's taking a short without any kind of stop loss protection is going to be dangerous. So you can see here, we're still climbing, but I mean, even on the market cap, guys, on the 1 hour, like we're way overbought. So like way overbought. So I would look to kind of see, where, um, if you look here at this previous peak here, this is honestly, if you look at here, see, we have a peak and then we have a lower peak, but we have a peak and a higher peak, right? Which is going to be that bearish divergence. But we have room to go up. I mean, the divergence is there, but obviously we could keep climbing up to this range here. So, but this is the trend line I'm following on the market cap right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. The one thing I wanted to touch on this huddle today, because I had a lot of messages yesterday, and people were confused because Bitcoin was holding price, but Ethereum was absolutely tanking. So let's go to like I'm gonna mute some of these so you guys can see it a little better. Okay. So yesterday, news event was, through this, right? But if you notice, like all through this, Bitcoin was just holding price. Even when it fell, I mean, it was just a few $100s, right? And then you go to Ethereum, right? And we'll go to the 5 minute. Let's mute these here. All right. And Ethereum was just absolutely tanking during that same time frame. I mean, we went from 1930 all the way to 1850. So I got a lot of messages that are like, man, like, what is going on? Why is Ethereum tanking, but Bitcoin's not? This is a news cycle thing that just it happens every time, guys. Anytime you have like big news coming that could just rock the markets, do you feel as an investor more comfortable having your all your funds in like LTC or ETH or Matic, or do you feel more comfortable with BTC? BTC typically moves less, it moves slower than the altcoins. So what happens is people, they don't want to miss a pump, but they don't want to risk losing tons of money. So they'll sell their Ethereum or their alts, and they'll basically put those alts money into BTC. And so that way they feel like it's a little bit safer, right? And so what happens is because of the sell off on ETH, especially because we had a pretty good pump, right? People are taking their profits. They're taking those profits, they're moving them to BTC because they know it's stable. Then what happens is all of those guys, what causes this, right, is because notice, right, it's right around the news event. All the news drops and it's bullish. So people say, I'm going to take my money out of BTC and I'm going to put it into ETH, right, which causes this and causes this. So we'll talk about this in a second. So, because if you go to BTC, notice the chart is not the same, right? This is nuts, right? And this is just basically ranging. And so even if you go to ETH, when you've seen this pump here, right, around 10:30, and you go to BTC and you go to around 10:30 right here, we had a drop. That's the psychology behind it, right? People are selling their BTC to buy ETH. Took it out of ETH, put it to BTC, taking it out of BTC, put it back to ETH. So it's kind of like before the news, people are taking that protection of BTC. After the news, they're putting it back. It's that shift of the market. So you have to play that game. CK and I talk about this a lot. We're all small fish in a big sea, right? You try to swim against the stream, you're going to lose every time, right? So you have to you got to play with the way that there's some things you want to go against the grain on, right? Because like I always joke about, like, when the news is bullish, I'm bearish. When the news is bearish, I'm bullish, because that's just how it always works, right? Um, but there's some rules that you want to be aware of, right? Because everybody's doing that. So let's talk about that. That's what explains this pump here. Let's talk about this mess here, right? Okay, so if you go to the 2 minute here, I wanted to show you. So this line, actually, let's go to the daily on ETH. This line is pretty significant, and it's been significant for some time. Like you can see, ever since the bottom of 882, right, is where this line has been derived from. So you have support, 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 right? Broke down, reclaimed, exploded, broke down, couldn't reclaim, fell, right? Came across, retested, failed, 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 right? With the big move. So you have your really 4 hits, right? And then it failed big time. Then it came up, failed again, came up, failed again, came up, failed again. Success, right? So now let's go into how does that look on the like a smaller time frame? So if you notice, we always talk about this, right? So you have peak, peak, came up, we created a higher low, right? So we have our low, our low, our low. Just like here, right? We pushed up, right? And it started to lose some steam around these previous peaks, but it created this higher low. So people, said, well, let's try to flip long a little bit, right? People buying in, buying in, buying in. Now we created support on what was previous resistance, right? So the previous resistance created support. That caused it to be bullish. So what ended up happening is you have, a push, 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 then you have your big candle push up north. So, and then you can see when it had the push north pass here, right? This is that line we've been following. So we came up, tried to break back down, couldn't do it, push north, right? That's what causes this FOMO explosion, because now our previous super strong resistance line has acted as support. Up we go. Now we're in here, right? So I have this 2030 marked, and this 2030 is the peak from this previous trend line slash resistance, right? And there's another peak right here on 2015. That's going to be some ridiculous resistance, unless there's some continued crazy news, right? It's going to be a difficult range to take. So if you're looking to take a long here, I highly suggest you don't. I would suggest that you stay either short after the pumps, or wait for a bearish confirmation on, like, let's say the 1 hour, right? So, you want to wait until you actually get some form of doji in here, right? Or some kind of inverted hammer, and then you have that bearish confirmation, right? And then that would, there's so much gap room to come back down. So this short could be absolutely very, very profitable for you guys. So if you're in a short already and you're freaking out and you're looking to, where do I DCA? Somewhere in this 20 to 2030 range is where I would throw that DCA. Throw it pretty heavily, strong DCA to move your entry up pretty well, and then that will, if you have the margin to do it, right? And then that should, we should get at least one pretty wild rejection off of that. So that's kind of where I see the markets, guys. I mean, the news has just been bullish, right? I mean, we can't control news, so the jobless claims report, in a nutshell, came out bullish. The CPI was super bullish. It's just now you got to ride the waves, right? So now we're gonna get FOMO. It doesn't mean we're not gonna have our pullback or our gap fill. I promise you guys, you watch it. All these poor souls that are buying Ethereum right now are gonna absolutely get just destroyed. This gap right here, right, and even more so, this gap, it's gonna feel. Remember when we talked about this back here, guys, and we said, well, this is interesting. We had peak, peak, a little slip, peak, and then a pullback, and then we had a pump, right? So you have the pullback and then pump. So you have your peak, peak, right? Your little slip, your pullback, your pump, couldn't break it, and then what happened? It just absolutely collapsed, right? The same thing is going to happen up here, guys. I mean, do I think that we're going to go to 15K? No, I don't think so. Not yet. I think we will eventually, but we're going to play within this range here. I would, like I have been saying, we could range up in this range for a little bit. A healthy pullback would be somewhere around 25.2, and then that would, in a nutshell, fill this gap here. That could be considered as a gap fill, right? So if you're in a short below 25.2, you want to try to get your entry above 25.2. If you can't get your entry above 25.2 because you don't have the margin, you may want to, take a loss around there, right, and just reset. So could we fall lower? Sure. I mean, we have this lower line, right? So, but I still think that even if we fell like this, like if let's say this started right here, right, and you have your fall one, fall two, fall three, even if you come over, right, let's say we come up like this and we hit 30,700, right, up in this range right here, which would still be under the trend line. Then we begin our fall. So we have, let's say it comes over, we have fall one, comes over, we have fall two, comes over, we have fall three, right? This is gonna be a bounce. It's gonna bounce, guys. I guarantee you. If you take a long anywhere within this range, aside from a news event, right, you're gonna make a lot of money on that trade. So because you have massive resistance, and if I keep going that way, it's just tons and tons of resistance, and you have a huge gap fill. So when this comes down, this resistance will act as support. You'll get a crazy bounce. It'll likely, if we're still bearish, it'll likely reject off of what was support in this range here, right? The 27.7, 27.6 range will reject as support or as resistance. What was once support is always resistance, right? And so that will reject, and that's what would push us down. Now, if we pull down and we hit this and we bounce and we reclaim this zone, right, then gap's filled. We're going north. That's just how that plays, right? So we'll keep an eye on it. I'm going to tell you guys right now, my trading plan, I took longs along the way. I have been taking random longs since here. I'm not taking any longs on my ATA. I'm only running shorts right now. But on my live trading, you guys see I'm still putting out calls here and there for longs. We can still take longs. Just take scalps. Get in, get out, set your stop loss. The risk right now of how far you can fall is way greater than the risk of how high we can pump. Now, can we go higher? I mean, absolutely. But the economy, the economy is still not in great shape. We've still got a lot going on. China's about to invade Taiwan, right? You all remember the Ukraine war when that started. I mean, it was instant. The moment that war was announced, I mean, there was just a big old straight candle down. We lost like 5K in like 10 minutes, right? So just be careful on that. Set your stop losses if you're trying to take longs, because the risk is just nuts. That's why I'm only running shorts on my ATA. I have 7 minutes left. Let's touch on to the ATAs, right? So let's hit save here. So let's touch on to the ATAs. So I have these already loaded. I I always, in the beginning, guys, I was doing them super. I was explaining them very, very detailed on how I loaded the ATAs and how I did them, and then you know I've gotten away from that because we've been doing it for a little while. But I do know that there's some new people coming in that don't understand them, right? So what I did is I closed my layout. For those who don't know, I'm using the TradingView app, not the window. I love the app because it auto loads stuff. So let's say I want to check out my LTC or my ETH that I'm running, which if you hit my alert over here, you can see ETH and LTC are the only two that I'm running right now because I purposely did that through the news events. I didn't want to go crazy because although I wanted to go short only, I knew that we had some risks of the alts pumping a little bit. So now what I want to do is I want to take a look. So we're going to just hit this drop down. Anytime you want to load a layout, you just hit this little arrow here, come down, you hit load layout, and we want to look at our ETH. So let's see how ETH is, because we know ETH pumped, right? And I'm short only, so I definitely am in there. So let's see where my entry is. All right, so we're not in too bad a shape, right, guys? So this is how the ATA works. It took a short here. So this was yesterday, right? It took some really good trades. It did take a short here. It's not a terrible short, right? I mean, it's playing the resistance. It did make a one attempt at a DCA, and you can see the dollar cost average. These are our original take profit zones, and the white line is the entry. So the DCA moved my entry up pretty significant, so it's pretty good. But it just continued to pump, right? So it took its second DCA in this area here, which moved my entry up even more significant. So my entry is like 1953. We're going to hit 1953 again, guys. I'm not worried about this whatsoever. If anything, I actually am good with the fact that it has done this second DCA because guess what? When we do reverse and we do pull down, this is going to be a big trade. Watch. So we're going to let that one roll out. So far, my ETH, we do have the stats. 18 days, it's made 200 bucks on there. It had, through these pump and dumps, some points that the ETH shorts have gotten stuck, which is kind of what minimized that. I am not running my longs, but we can take a look and see how the longs would have done. 17 days, 145 bucks. You can see it would have caught. It just missed this pump here. It looks like, but it did catch these two pushes here. So. Not too bad shape. Yeah, so that's kind of where my ETH is. I'm still not running along, so I'm not going to adjust that one. But I'm going to add a couple pairs today just to show you guys how we do that. Because it's been about a week since we've added them because all the news. So let's look at my LTC short. My LTC short's not in bad position either. We've only got a DCA 1 in there. Hasn't even DCA 2. So LTC did not pump like ETH did. And you can see I do have a second DCA setting. My white line right here is where it will make that decision. So we're either going to come to profit or we're going to come up here and DCA again, which I'm totally cool with because if I take my hour, right, the second DCA is right here, which is literally the resistance that it's been fighting for some time. So yeah, so my LTC I'm good with. I have one more DCA to play, and I'm not too far from my entry, so I'm gonna let that rock and roll. So I need to remove this indicator here. So if you ever get anything like this, right, you see how it's showing zero, like you guys know it showed that the profits and stuff were there for a while. It's likely something with TradingView is bugging out the code. It doesn't happen often, but you can just remove the indicator and add it back with your if you're going to do that, make sure you take a picture or something of your settings. It's not much. It's just this, and this, right? And just make it look exactly the same as it is. Another thing you could do is instead of taking a picture is just add another indicator of Gambit, and then you just basically copy the same settings, right? And then once you're done copying it, then you can remove it, and that'll probably fix that. But I'm not. To me, I like seeing this, but I'm good with what it's doing right now. So. And for those who don't know, this is an automated trading assistant. On TradingView, we give you the indicator, puts it on the screen. All these are actual, like, real live trades that go to the exchange, performed 100% automated. So, let's start up something else, guys, because we're getting a little out of some of the news. So, Aave's been a decent go-to for me. Let's see how the Aave short would have done if we kept it going. Let's see where that's at. See, Abe hasn't really, yeah, look at this. It would have done really well, guys. So currently the code thinks that it is not in a trade, right? So that's perfect. So what we're going to do to start Aave, if I want to start this back up again, I want to start firing to my exchange. All I do is hit this gear. We are short. We want Aave. I love the parabolic stars. You guys know how I feel about that on this is our built-in strategy that we have. This one does super well for altcoins. This is all my take profit zone here. I'm going to leave that default. I'm still only going to run one DCA, right? Because I think I'm going to add two pairs. Um, I may even add a third, guys. I don't know. I might go crazy because now that we're getting through some news. But so if I overextend my pairs, I'm typically only going to run one DCA. So the only thing that I have to do is, because I'm good with my take profits as default, I'm good with one DCA. It's going to do at 0.9%, which is default. It's going to do a 3 times entry. So that means 3 times my base volume. So that means it's going to add 15 Aave to the trade if it chooses to DCA one time. I'm not going to run a stop loss on this one. I'm gonna let it roll. I'm not too scared of Aave. I may run a stop loss on some of the other ones, but we'll see. So now all I have to do is update my date. So it's 4/13, and we'll say 8/59, and we do have -4. We're going to close out the trade. Just click anywhere in the black here, and that's going to put me a yellow triangle. So what this does, you're going to see it changes the entire code, right? Because you changed the start date of when the code went. So the reason why it's important to add this here is because this is what's going to start all your stats bar, right? So you can actually see how is it performed since you actually started it. Once you have this yellow triangle and there's no other trades after it, now we can come up to this indicator here, and we can click the little 3 lines. We can go to add alert for Gambit, and then we just erase the name, and we're going to say Gambit Aave short, and we create the alert, and that's it, guys. And we do this on the 1-minute chart because you can do it on any time frame you want. You can backtest it if you find one you like, by all means, right? I do it on the 1 minute because I like it to scalp, get in, get out. If you hit the alerts, you can see, oh, you know what? I didn't put ATA in front. I forgot. So if you ever do mess up the name, all you gotta do, guys, hit the edit button there, ATA. The reason why I put ATA in the front of them is I do a lot of alerts on my own, and then I like it to be at the top. So we have an active ATA Aave short, ETH short, LTC short. So I'm gonna run those. Let's hit save, and we're good. So let's load up another one. I'm gonna load layout. If you haven't built the layouts, guys, all you have to do on those is you just do new layout, and then I just name it Aave ETH. I do my layouts by my pairs. I don't want to touch XRP or Doge, so I'm thinking Matic or short, or Matic or Solana. Matic kind of scares me a little bit. Okay, Solana's in a good position for short. Look, we're right up against resistance. It actually did have a nice parabolic move. It's next to its resistance, so let's do it. Let's run Solana short. So what we'll do is I want to show you guys how to do it running a stop loss. So we're going to come in here, short Solana parabolic. We're keeping the TPs. I'm just showing you guys how easy this is to set up. It's super, super simple. Leaving these defaults. So I do want to add a stop loss on this one. Let's go ahead and say I'll probably do like 5%. I want to give it room to move, but I don't want to. I want to protect it from like a parabolic, right? When you add this in here, you're going to see some crazy stats come in. Keep in mind, if this shows -22, it doesn't mean that it's a bad stop loss. What it means is there was a few parabolic times that actually ended up hitting that through some movements, but you may have not ran a short, right? If it's towards the bottom of the support, why would you run a short anyway? So, don't always take this as a bad setup or a bad strategy, right? So if you really want to, you can adjust this percent. We can say like, okay, let's say 7%, right? Let's see if that helped it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it basically took away one of the stop losses. So we'll leave it at 7. I'm not really trying to stop out. I'm trying to protect it from a parabolic move. So that's why I make that determination. So let's go ahead and okay. So let's go ahead and change this. right here. So 13, and we're going to start the time at 9, oops, 03. And let's see, we should get our yellow candle. There we go. So we got our yellow. Now we know we're ready to start it. Make sure you're on the time frame, 1 minute. You have the pair Solana. We have the yellow candle here. Now we just come over here. We're going to hit add alert. We're going to double click this here to highlight it all. ATA, Gambit, Sol, Short. And create. And then you click it, check to make sure it went in. You have Aave, ETH, LTC, Sol. I'm only going to run 4 for today. I'm not going to go too crazy. Now, tomorrow, if I see a lot of resistance, through the weekend, I may add 1 or maybe even 2 more, guys. I might go crazy. But as you see, I'm not running longs, guys. Can we go long? Sure, we can go long, but there's still room to go up. But I have my DCA protocols. That's the beauty of the ATA, right? Even in an uptrend, it's still scalping shorts, right? So up here, it's going to be tougher for a parabolic move north. And the parabolic move is the only thing that really gets us stuck. Kind of like the ETH one, right? The parabolic move is what got that stuck a little bit. So, but yeah, should be a great day of trading, guys. I'm 5 minutes past. I wanted to go through that, set those up for you guys. You guys see how easy? I mean, I spend 30 minutes. I go through my market. I set up my ATAs. Market opens. I'll place my trades. I'll place my options trades, my contracts I want to do, and then I just go about my day. Right? It's all set. This thing's gonna perform for me. 100% automated. So, but yeah, these short scalps, guys, I'm telling you, because as it comes up, there's going to be take profit. Come up, take profit. Those short scalps down are going to be, you're going to make a lot of money really quick. So, just don't be overly greedy, right? Wait for a push up, take that short. Wait for the push up, take that short. In our room, if you're not in our room, let me put my indicators back on. These are all custom. You can see botjock.com type indicators. You can see we had caught the long push here. If I stretch that out, right? I mean, it's like TP 17, I don't know. But yeah, look at this pullback. Now, what I'm waiting for, and y'all will get this in the room because this is going to be a fantastic short. When this indicator captures everything lining up and it flips into a short for me, we're going to take that short. So keep an eye on that for that out in the room. Yeah, so it's going to be a great short. So I'm going to cut the call off here. Let me save this one. We'll cut the call off here, guys. I have a normally in the room we do the Q&A right after at 9:30. I can't do it at 9:30. I have like back to back meetings until about 1. So those in the room, instead of doing the Q&A on YouTube, we're going to do it like we did yesterday on Google Meet. So look for that link out in the room. We had a blast on it yesterday, just playing with the filters and just trading and hanging out. The concept of that is really, you guys can kind of trade with me, trade with CK, just kind of hang out, get to know each other, things like that. So I love that atmosphere because we can leave that call pretty much open all day. So you can kind of come in and out when you have time to pop in, and then you can ask questions. We can share screens. Just kind of have a good time while we're trading. So appreciate your guys' time, and let me go ahead and stop this, and we'll see you guys in the room.